Hey, what's up everybody? This is Arthur with Everyday Trades. Today is Friday, July 24th, and we're going to take a look at a few trades that I took today. Two were on COF, and those were losing trades. And then we're going to take a look at three other trades, one on SPNC, DTV, and URI. And those three were winning trades that more than made up for the two losing trades on COF. So stay tuned, and we'll talk about those trades coming up right after this. Okay, so let's take a look at the first two trades that I took on Capital One Financial, COF. You can see here that the stock gapped down right to an area of demand and support, and this stock was clearly in a nice little uptrend here. So I really wasn't too bearish on the trade actually, and I ended up taking two long trades on it and stopped out of both of them. So let's take a look at those here. The first two trades were taken on the 15-minute chart. Okay, so as you see, we opened up nicely, traded down, and then looked to make a low there and kind of bounced right off of that. And that's actually when I looked to go long right at 7:30. This candle here, if you can see my cursor, the high was 80.05 and the low was 79.41, and the entry for my trade was long 2 cents above the high and 2 cents underneath the low of this candle. So it was 80.07 by 79.39 of this candle here, the high by the low. And that was a 68-cent stop. And with a $50 R, meaning I'm going to risk $50 on this trade. So if I do get stopped out, I will not lose more than $50 or 1 R on the trade. So $50 as my R divided by the 68-cent stop gives me 73 shares that I bought. So I got triggered into that trade on this very next candle, and I actually moved my stop up within maybe 5 minutes to about 79.70 or so, and I just kind of mitigated my risk a little bit there, and actually just kind of got stopped out a little bit early. But nevertheless, I did get stopped out on that trade and honored my stop, and then we continued to kind of trade up a little bit. And then the second trade, here are the numbers for that trade, where I got right back into the trade with a break over these highs of 80.09 by 79.70, and that's a 39-cent stop. So with a 50R divided by my stop value, that gives me 131 shares that I purchased. And on this candle here is where I got into the trade. And then give or take 15 minutes later, on these two 15-minute candles later, I was stopped out by this long lower wick. And as you can see, we just traded sideways for a while and just traded down for the rest of the day. And even if I wouldn't have moved my stop up on the first trade, or wouldn't have did anything on that second trade, which I didn't do, and I didn't move my stop on the second trade, I would have ultimately got stopped out anyway. So lost half an hour on the first trade and a little bit over 3/4 of an hour on the second trade. So the total loss on those two trades on this one stock was 1.25 R. So it really wasn't that bad on two trades. Not bad at all. So let's take a look at the next trade on SPNC. Go ahead and take a look at this on the daily. And you can see on the daily we had a little bit of support around 1550 area, and that was just a great target to trade to. And we gapped down underneath those pivots there, so it was a pretty significant gap. And looked good on the weekly too. This black line is the pivots that we cleared, and again, this was a target to trade down to for sure. So let's take a look at it on the 15-minute time frame, which is the time frame that I took the trade on. So when the stock opened up, it traded down pretty hard within the first 15 minutes and then got bought right back up. And then as you can see, we traded up, pulled back, traded down a little bit, and then pulled back again with this nice little 15-minute doji. And the entry was right underneath the low of this, and with the stop just right underneath the high. Pretty simple. The trade was short 17.28, which is 2 cents below the under the low, by 17.87, which is 2 cents above the high of this doji. And as you can see, we traded down, came back in and retested the entry, and then traded right back down to hit our target about an hour later, and our target was 16.10, which is this green line here, and the low of this wick was 16.02, so we cleared the 2-hour target by 8 cents. And let's go over to the 15-minute chart, or excuse me, the 5-minute chart. So when we hit the 2-hour target, I covered half my position and locked in 1 full hour of profit, and then trailed the back half of my shares at 16.40, which was only risking half an hour if this pulled back and then continued to trade down. So trailed out at 16.40, and this was a total of 1.8 Rs. So that was a great trade on SPNC, and then as you can see, this thing was kind of just all over the place after that. Came back down and actually retested the lows of my target and then traded right back up and then did it again. So this thing was all over the place. So we definitely got out with good timing at a great area for a 1.8 R trade. All right, let's take a look at the next trade, which was on DTV, and this was a long trade. And I like this trade on the daily. It wasn't too bad. As you can see, the last 4 days we traded down, so 4 red candles in a row. So there was a lot of traders trapped, and then when we gapped up, we kind of cleared this little pivot here. So there's a lot of people trapped that were looking to buy to cover. So let's take a look on the 15-minute trade, 15-minute time frame, which is where the trade was taken from. And this trade was taken at 9 o'clock, or just a little bit before 9 o'clock, going into lunchtime, actually. And this trade, let's go back over here to the 15. So this trade was long 94.41, which is just over the high of this little tiny doji, by the low of 2 cents underneath the low. The low was 94.20 and the stop was 94.30. So 2 cents above the high with 2 cents underneath the low of this doji, and we were triggering in at 8.30, and as you can see, just traded straight up to the target, and the target to our target was 94.63. And I put a little note here to set a limit order 1 or 2 cents below the actual target, because the high of this candle that it traded to was 94.63, and then this next candle, the high was 94.63 as well. So if we used a limit order and it hit our target 94.63, it might not trigger us to take profits because it actually has to tick 1 cent above that. So when I set my my target trade to sell half my position at 2R, I'll set it at 1 or 2 cents below the actual target, so to make sure it gets triggers when it actually hits the target. So that's what I did there, and then I simply just trailed out by my original R stop, which was 11 cents, and trailed out at 94.52 and locked in 1.5 R for that trade. So let's take a look at the last trade I took, which was on URI. Take a look at that one on the daily as well. And this was a continuation play from yesterday's gap. Nice bearish gap from yesterday, and didn't really gap down today, but we just played it on the continuation on the 15-minute chart. and I believe this was just going into lunch as well. Yeah, I was taking at 9:30. Shout out to Brad, who's a buddy of mine that I trade with. Phenomenal, tremendous trader. And I saw the stock earlier in the day when it was trading down, and he called it out just as it was starting to roll over. And the right underneath these two shooting stars here, the order was 64.28 by 64.78. So this was actually 4 cents just to kind of get underneath this pivot. 4 cents underneath these two shooting stars with 2 cents above the wick of this here. And as you can see with that trade on URI, as soon as we got in, that just traded right down to our target as well. And so we got in at 9:30 and hit our target at 10:15, a little over 45 minutes later. Our target was 63.28, which was a dollar move. So we got in at 64.28, so we needed it to move 63.28, and that was we actually hit that and cleared it by a little bit there. And when it hit our target, I bought back half my position, so I covered half my position at 2R, switched over to the 5-minute chart, and trailed it by 5-minute pivots and kind of bar by bar action, and by my original stop value, and which was 50 cents. So we actually got trailed out at 63.77, and locked in 1.5R for that trade. So locked in 1.5R for URI, locked in 1.5R for DTV, and locked in 1.8R for SPNC. So we had 3 great trades and 2 losing trades on COF, which just totaled 1.25R. So it really just was not that bad at all, and that's the name of the game, to keep your losses small and your wins and your profits larger than your losses. So those were the total 5 trades that I took today. Thank you all for your time, and thank you for watching this video. If you guys have any questions or comments, feel free to leave them down below, or you can email me directly at a.pierce@comcast.net. And thank you again for your time. Have a great day, and don't forget to subscribe to my channel before you leave. Have a good night. Bye.